Good evening. This is CTV News for Friday, September 9th. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Patricia Valone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, elected officials and members of the Baltimore community are weighing in on their concerns about the city's police department. Senator Ben Cardin opened the community meeting at the Urban League in Baltimore this afternoon to get the public's input on police reform. The gathering follows the Justice Department report that slams the city's police force for what it calls unlawful arrests and use of force against blacks. Changes have been made, but many say more is needed.
If you look at the document, Baltimore is in need of a lot of repairing and a lot of healing. And the only way that we can have that healing to go forward is that we have the community voice heard as a part of whatever final document as part of the consent decree is brought forward.
Now, I have seen some evidence here and there. I think even the safe zone has had some presence of police coming down to help out with the kids in that particular neighborhood. Right. I've seen stories here and there, but any systemic change, I need to see some indicators that tells me that it really has changed, and I can't say that I've seen that yet.
Now, Senator Cardin told those gathered that he is pushing for transformative federal legislation for change, including the Baltimore and Law Enforcement Trust and Integrity Acts. Well, meantime, the Zika virus crisis is prompting the senator to tour the National Institutes of Health this morning. Cardin wants to ensure that federal research funding continues for treatment of the virus and vaccine development and says the epidemic constitutes a national emergency.
If Congress does not provide the Zika funding, the phase 2 trials for a vaccine, which are scheduled to start early next year, could be delayed. And if they're delayed, they're not delayed just a couple weeks or a couple months. You lose a year because of the Zika season. We should be just funding the Zika. That's what the issue is. But some Republicans have said, look, we will only do that if we can defund Planned Parenthood. There is no connection. There's absolutely no connection to the bill we have before us at all, except that Planned Parenthood's involved in family planning, which is part of our strategy to deal with containing the Zika virus.
Well, nearly 17,000 Zika cases have already been documented in the U.S.
And the 15th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks is just 2 days away. Nearly 3,000 people were killed when hijackers flew planes into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon. A third plane crashed in a field near Shanksville, PA. 24 people from Prince George's were killed in those attacks. This memorial at Bladensburg Memorial Park honors those victims. Earlier today, we spoke with victims, with people who remember that day.
I was just stunned. I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. Just couldn't fathom it. So why would people do that? I think better people than think they could do something like this.
We were all stunned. First we heard about the Twin Towers, and it was on the radio, and everybody. I had a little TV in my office, and everybody came in, was standing around. I had like 50 people around the screen, about 5 inches. Mm-hmm. And we were all stunned.
Do you think we're safer now than we were back then?
Yes. And the reason being is that we're well aware of the capabilities and no longer underestimating the folks that, we're in combat or in conflict with.
9/11 events are taking place across the country to remember that solemn day. The 6th branch remembered the event with a day of service in Baltimore. Veterans in Maryland Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford came out for the Together We Serve 9/11 event, where they spent the day cleaning up Johnston Square Park.
I remember that day, distinctly, and all that we did in the days following that. But this is a day of service. Maryland has, a Together Service Day and Service Month, really, starting tomorrow. And it's in line with 9/11 and commemoration and remembering that we were attacked on that day, and we're responding with kindness.
It's a day of service and a day of turning an effort to destroy us into our effort to create something and build things, build something new.
And Rutherford says we should remember the day by showing acts of kindness to one another. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Patricia Valone.